So what we're gonna go over this evening is Graham wants to let you know that he made the amendments and the suggestions to the letter from last week. He's gonna talk about that and leave it around the room if folks wanna read it and approve it or make any last minute comments on it before we send it to print. After that, Megan's gonna give us an update on the petition. We've made great movement in the first few events that we've had. And then after this little meeting, we're gonna do a petition circulator. Am I saying that right? A circulator, okay. A petition. To make sure that we're doing it per all the specifications that they want us to do for all our signatures. And then, we haven't had many, for those of you folks, was everybody here last week? You were here, okay. So, we went over, we kind of talked a little bit about some of the information from the week before about zoning. We came to, I think, the collective conclusion, correct me if anyone feels differently, but we want to still explore our zoning option. There is an attorney coming in tomorrow, 5:30.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
Here.
Correct.
5 o'clock here, we have a public meeting tomorrow. An attorney is coming in that specializes, we are told she specializes in working with trustees of townships to help do zoning. So tomorrow at 5 o'clock, we have her for an hour to answer our questions, make sure that everyone feels good about our legal liability and the potential that we might have. And she's also offered to help with the writing of some of the zoning concepts so that they are done correctly in case they will be challenged. Now, just to make sure everybody understands, zoning gets challenged. Our zoning is not, the intention of our zoning is not to be complex. I don't want to measure fences. I don't want to count cars in your driveway. We don't care. I'm pretty sure none of us care. Our focus is to interrupt our lives as little as we can, but keep out what we don't want to invade our territory. We want to have a little more control in how our environment is developed, or not. So, the trustees put that together for us tomorrow. So I'm hoping that maybe some of the folks that couldn't give us 2 nights, that they're gonna give us tomorrow. Part of that, with us wanting to be very timely and organized on it, we ask that folks submit their questions in advance to Judy Keefers, who we had asked, but that system has not been very successful thus far. So once Grant and Megan get done, we're going to talk kind of openly about what kind of questions can we ask or what do we want to know. She's not going to be able to write our zoning plan tomorrow, but I think the point of it is to find out, are we still in time to do this without losing a lawsuit? And how do we have to do this so that we don't put ourselves in the future in a potential where someone might want to challenge it. Now, that being said, zoning laws are flexible. So if we put something in place, and someone that already lives here or moves in has an idea for a business or something they want to do, that's not a no. That just means there's a process. They come to the trustees, they say, here's my idea for a business, but right now I'm not zoned for that, or vice versa, whatever the case is. And then they submit that a variance be applied. So zoning is flexible. And what we set in place today, and they did that because what we want today, it was definitely different 20 years ago. We didn't know this thing was coming, so, it will be put in a way that it doesn't interrupt our lives.
And Casey,
Yes,
if I could
ma'am.
just say, zoning is such a scary word, right? We've all heard about zoning, but how many many of us have actually looked into zoning and all of the options that we, other than Casey, all of the options that we have? I think it's more of an educational opportunity. We want to educate not only ourselves, but our community about the possibilities, right? As a community, we may say this is not what we want, but at least we're educated on it now, and we're not scared of that 4-letter word, which is zone.
That's a good point. If we get to, and this is, I said it last week for the ones that weren't here. If we get to the end of this like zoning commission thing and none of us like being brought up and they're sitting here going, well, this doesn't look like what we started, we dissolve the committee and we move on. Like it doesn't like us saying, hey, we want to look into it and form a committee to explore it, but it doesn't mean it's set in stone that it's happening. It just means we have the opportunity. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Grant to talk about the letter. You have the floor, sir.
Did I understand you to say that the trustees will be the zoning committee if we?
The trustees will appoint the zoning committee. Yes, they will appoint the zoning committee. They don't want to do it all.
Okay, I took all of your feedback in last week in regards to the letter to the Economic Development Partnership, and I have made some changes to this letter. I'm not going to read the whole letter to you guys, it's taking too much of time, but I'm going to point out a few things that I specifically did to make sure that we're all on the same page. And there should be copies up there if you guys want to take them and read them. I just didn't print out a bunch. So, the first thing I changed was in regards to the beginning where we talk about a petition. I was very specific about what petition I'm talking about. We talked about the change.org one titled Prevent the Construction of a Data Center in Jackson, Ohio. And then I've changed it to say nearly 2,000 signatures to over 2,000 signatures. So congratulations to all of you for signing that. That's a lot. So, very good movement on that. One concern was citing a lot of information. And one of the main concerns was citing the information about their tax that was published, noting government funding for the organization. So I was able to find the exact IRS Form 990 filings, and they're all cited on this page here with all the other citations that I'll talk about in a moment. But I found out that they received $800,000 in government grants in fiscal year 2024. And since 2020, some of those grants have been by the Board of Commissioners in the City of Jackson. So I have those cited on there. Those are, that's official information. Something else that was requested was the demands on what we're asking them to publish. So I've changed some of the bullet points to be more expansive, to ask them to provide more information. Somebody had mentioned specifically involvement with AEP or the Portsmouth Gas Diffusion Plant, A plant. So I put that as another thing on there that they should be disclosing if any of those businesses are actually working on this project as well. Then in the section talking about the community concerns, I added some extra information, particularly about vehicle use during construction. Something that I found interesting was airborne particles from dust coming up during the construction process. So I was able to cite multiple scientific studies that explain that it could be damaging to your lungs, it could be damaging to local livestock, it could prevent plants from growing because of all that dust going on the plants. So put that in there as well. And then finally, something else that I put in was talking about the safety of the roads in regards to the community. If there's large trucks moving, there might be children at play that might be a concern for safety. And then also there's a lot of Amish horse and buggy traffic on the roads that could severely be affected, put them at risk if there's a lot of construction moving back and forth. So, but just adding general information and citations to back up what we're saying, I think that's a really good step forward. But again, I encourage you guys, if you have any specifics, just make sure to read that letter before you leave and let me know. And then by, I'd say tomorrow, we'll have a 100% final draft that we'll hand in to the local paper, and then we will move forward with sending this to the actual board. So, but that's all I have.
I have a question. You're
Yes.
sending it to the paper before you send it to the board?
We'll send it to the board first.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm
we'll
sorry.
send it to the board
I
first.
misspoke.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll send it to them via email. I might have time to drop it off at their office during the day before.
Who will sign it?
That's a good question. Do you want to sign it?
I think we should attach, sign it.
I don't think anyone of the residents.
I think we
of
just need to
Scioto
say
Township.
concerned citizens of Scioto Township.
Yeah.
What about when we email it, can we attach the petition with 2,000 signatures
We can
that
do
we
that.
don't want a data center? I think that's a pretty good sign off on a letter.
That's great. And to speak to, we have only started with our petitions. We will continue to grow.
The
And
2,000 signatures, to clarify, there's a lot of petitions going on, was a petition locally here.
So
that just
Bailey
said
Warren's-
We didn't want a data center in our community. We're going to attach it to this letter as we send it to the economic development to let them know that at least 2,000 people here feel this way about it. You know, and if they represent us, and then we'll put it in the paper.
Sure.
Yep. And we will only continue to gain momentum. I think that is the biggest story that we need to drive is we've started, in 1 hour, Casey, you pulled 25 people. In 3 weeks, we've pulled 2,000. What are we really capable of, people? That is what we need to be thinking about.
Does anyone have any more questions or concerns about the letter? Okay, if you guys think of something, let me know before I leave, and I can discuss it with you guys.
I do
Make sure you read it
think, Grant, I do think that it also needs to be sent to the city of Jackson as well.
We can do that.
Because they have been entertaining some conversations with different parties.
They're listed as an executive partner on their website, so we're gonna send it to everybody that we can find.
Well,
on the website.
it ought to be sent to the villages and the townships and the towns all through. All the townships should get a copy of this too.
I think that's a great call out, Aaron. We'll add that and I'll get you the contact information.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Grant. We appreciate your work on that. It was so thorough. I know you really put some time into it, so thank you very much. So next we want to talk about the state the state petition. So, as a reminder, the state petition is for a cap on all data centers that are built in Ohio to be no more than 25 megawatts a month. So, a town of 5,000 uses about 10 to 15 megawatts. So it's still a large capacity. But we're seeing 2,200 megawatts, 1,100 megawatts, like these huge, massive, strain on the resources. So, the state is circulating this. We have until July 1st to get 418,000 valid signatures. So it is a big ask. We just started circulating it last week, and I'm going to let Megan, who has taken, she is the lead for the township, the county, right? The lead for the county. Let's not make it smaller than it is. She's leading the county for everybody. So she's going to let us know how our first week of collecting signatures.
Thank you. So, quick update. We have been reserving the park. We went to the park once in Jackson, it's Van Power Park. We have a reservation system that we went through with the mayor's office to reserve the park for when it's been open. And what we've come up with is Fridays. People like to have a lot of big things on Saturdays, so we have the park reserved on Fridays through the rest of April and May. So we're gonna need more volunteers to come out and be a constant. It's a place where people can always find us on Fridays. We're right beside the city parking, so if you're coming down, and I saw a lot of you there, thank you. Everyone is helping. Everyone wants to, have a part of this, because this really is exciting for us to come together like this and have a voice as a community, a voice as an entire state, like I said before, say Ohio is not for sale for this. But we were in Manpower. We had so many people come out of their cars, and without even asking, they would say, "Are you here with a petition?" Yeah, come on. They are sending family, they're sending friends, they're sending neighbors. In the park, we were able to get petitions out with people to have them sign them with their family and friends. Currently, we have petitions out in Scioto, Franklin, Benton, Pike, Meigs, and Ross. So we have a lot of people that want to help. So there are petitions circulating. Something that I've noticed, and I know we talked about the online petition, and it's important that we talk about it. Some people have said, I don't need to sign, I already did the online petition. This is different. So a group of people in Adams County got together, got organized, got very passionate, and were able to submit
An amendment.
What's it called?
An amendment.
Oh, yes,
Right.
yes, a constitutional amendment, but it's called something else, I'll get it here in a second, to the state. We are circulating it all across the state. So, we have a lot of people out with petitions. I urge everyone to take a petition packet, because I think that if everyone in here can get just 5 signatures, and if we do this again tomorrow night and we do it next week, we can start jumping numbers. So manpower was great, 12 to 5:30. Fish fry got over 100 signatures. Thank you for everyone's work during the fish fry. That was great. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
To catch people as they're coming in. Right now we're sitting at 250, and I'm hoping we can get 300 this week. We're going to be here again tomorrow when the lawyer comes in to try to catch people as they come in. We'll be set up outside. I've got tables, I've got chairs, I've got packets, we've got everything we need. Given packets, we have 3 people in Jackson circulating packets alone. And they're just going up and down the streets. We can do that too. We should go talk to our neighbors, knock on doors, and get people to sign. Casey, you want me to go over that circulator, the signature requirements real quick? Please. Okay, so, and Bridget, feel free to, you are the expert, feel free to tell me. So if I go over something that's not correct. So each petition is 8 pages. Anyone can print this out from the Conserve Ohio site, www.conserveohio.com. They have a menu, it pulls down to files, and there's a PDF file to print the initiative petition. Whenever you get these and you staple them, they stay together. You cannot take them apart. They're going to be really picky about how these come in and how they've been handled. They want to make sure we've been professional. And whenever we say that we're going to be a circulator, we are, we're saying we're going to abide by rules and do this right. Whenever you have a petition, you staple it, you keep it together. Each petition is by county. If you have friends and neighbors that are in Pike, you would have a separate petition that would just be for Pike. Whenever people sign these, we just let them know, print name first, print name last, middle initial. This is all based on how you are registered at the voting office. Is that right, Bridget? However, and your name might be Joe and you go by Joe, but if you're registered under Joseph, that's what we need to make sure we put on, correct?
Yes.
Yes, Kristen?
So I've got people that want to sign that are not in the county around here. Does it matter just as long as it's in Ohio?
As long as it's in Ohio. The only thing that they need to be is a registered voter.
Okay.
So Bridget has made sure that she's gotten us voter updates and voter registrations if people aren't a voter. That's the only thing they need. Yep.
About the counties on separate sheets as well.
Yeah, so each county will have a separate petition. So if you have someone, I've got petitions in here from all 6 of those counties. that I can pull out and say, oh, you're from Pike, I'll pull out Pike and they can sign Pike.
You have different counties on one sheet, right?
No different counties on one sheet. Every county has to have its own petition. Yeah.
Its own packet, right?
Its own packet. The petition is a packet of 8 pages. Yeah. And then every one of these petition packets has 25 signature lines. Whenever you're done with these, you just read the directions on the back. You're gonna you print your name. There's a place that it says, who are you employed by? We talked about this earlier, Bridget. We're not employed, we're volunteers. We leave a line blank. You sign, you put your city, village, or township address, state, and zip. And then the packet's done. These can come, yes, and, yes, there's a little spot, actually right below where you say who you are that wants you to put in the number of good signatures. You might have people that come through and they make a mistake, and we've had people just start over. We do that sometimes. So they're gonna be really meticulous with how they want these entered, how they want these to be, read. If they can't read them, they're gonna, toss them out. So we just have to be careful how we fill them out. I think just about everyone in here has signed the petition, so thank you. Anyone that doesn't have or needs a petition packet, let me know. I have 30 or 40 with me. Because if you're able to talk to your neighbor that's not able to come out, if you're able to talk to, your people at work, we can all get some signatures, and it all adds up. Like Gracie has said, we're stronger together. And if we each do a little piece, all together, we're much stronger. We can put all those together. All of the packets have instructions, so if anyone needs a packet, I know last week several people got packets. If you need a packet, let me know, and we'll be here tomorrow again, picking up signatures outside. Questions, needs?
I just wanted to say that you can't, I can't give my circulation petition to Meg.
Yes, Mom, thank you for saying that. So whenever you're a circulator, you're attesting that the petition packet that you have witnessed every single signature. It's part of the attestation. Yes, thank you. And it's all in the packet, all the instructions, and you can't sign your own. So there's just some little funny stuff that we have to be aware of to make sure that all of these are valid.
Yeah, when you're someplace sitting for 6 hours and you have to go to the restroom, hopefully you have somebody that.
Cover it.
Yes.
Feels like a person.
Or have their own. Yeah, they need their own. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Megan, and that's great work. It said we had about 12 hours invested in.
More than that.
More than that. Okay, so great work from both of you guys. I also wanted to tag on, we did get some donations, and we're gonna try to go ahead and order
Yard signs.
100 signs and get them out.
Look at the rates for those. If we ordered 500, they were about $4 a piece, including the legs and everything. That price goes up to about $9 a sign if we order a quantity of 100. So
Hold on.
it's the smaller the quantity, the more expensive
Right,
they are.
hold on to that, because I
Yeah.
have
That's just one place though for the 9.
a lot of elected official friends that probably know somewhere cheaper, so I'll be in touch with you about that then.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to spend the rest of the time on is 2 things. One, I wanted to throw out that Pike County does not have a lead on circulating their petition. As far as we know, the only people circulating in Pike County are places that we have asked or have said, hey, we'll have the petition here for customers. So if anybody knows anybody in Pike County that you could just put a bug in their ear, see if they're interested, they could reach out to any one of us that you see up here. My mom is gonna reach out to someone that works in the governor's office, but after the recent news, they may not be willing to help us. So let's talk about news. The governor just recently made the comment that he does not trust the decision of us managing data centers to the people, that we should leave it to the government because they know the best. I thought that we could all use a little comedy for today. And then, I did want to let you know though that the state house did pass a bill that would provide a state moratorium. If the Senate, it's gonna be tough in the Senate, but if the Senate passes that bill and the governor doesn't veto it, like he did with the sales tax, we will have a statewide moratorium. Chances are, with the quote from the governor, chances are he's gonna veto it. But so when we started this 4 or 5 weeks ago, we had 6 bills going through the House. All right, now there's one actually going for a statewide moratorium that the governor might have the opportunity to stop. Our groups are making a difference. Our groups are being heard. You know, maybe not this one particular one all the way up to the state house yet, but just like Megan said, and just like voting, when I talk to people that say I don't vote, what does my vote matter? Well, 1 + 1 is 2. And 1 + 1 + 1 is 3, and then it gets to like 1 million just by that, right? So, this is that same concept. This does matter. So, Pike County, please, if you know anyone, or if you want to just go hang out in Emma's on a Saturday for an hour and spend a Sunday with your cutie and ask people to sign a signed petition, I would love that effort. The other thing is, if you have any ideas for events in Pike or Jackson, because I'll go to Pike, between now and July 1st, it would be a good like a good spot for us to set up a table and just be there for a while. Text us, Facebook us, because we can't think of all of it. You know, you guys are out there in the community, you see community events. I'll go to a car show, I'll go to, I don't know, a chainsaw competition, whatever weird things are out there, I'll go. So, let me know. No opportunity will be passed up. Let's talk about my favorite topic of late, zoning. We have the opportunity for this attorney tomorrow, and I really want to give her good feedback. What are we concerned about? What do we want to know? I have a few questions started, which is, if we form a zoning, well, first is there any reason we can't go ahead and form the zoning commission? But after that, it's if we form the zoning commission, can we impose a moratorium while we study?
You mean the
And
township?
Township.
that's gonna delay everything, right?
A moratorium is a pause on any development. So we would ask, while we are investigating our zoning, that there be a moratorium put in place on any developments.
Is that targeted to the data center, or would that be any?
It would be any.
Any, okay.
And this is where the lawyer comes in, right? I am not she. So I want to know, like, can we go ahead, once we have a committee, impose a moratorium to give us time to study?
And then after the moratorium, would it be grandfathered with the data center? Ban on data centers be grandfathered in, or would, since they're
We would
already-
work it into the zoning, so that would be something that, it would be industrial, so you can't just say no data centers, right?
Yeah.
So you would have to figure out where you wanted developments and zones, you know, in sections, districts.
She should do that, too.
Yes, yes, so we can put in place, but we don't want anything industrial to that size. And if it works out that we don't wanna say no industrial, because, you know, someone brought up a good point, that Wiseman's, great business for our township, would be industrial. They would be grandfathered in, I'm just using that type of company which we would want, I would think, you know, to bring business into the township. We may need to do ordinances, maybe that's the better way to go, you know, with a sound ordinance, with a light ordinance, with other restrictions. So I've only hit the tip of the iceberg on zoning, but there's multiple ways to achieve your goal with it. Just depends on how we want it to look. But I wanna know how quickly can we put a pause on this thing? And then my last question is, you know, do we have to even include an industrial zone at all if we don't want to? We're mostly agriculture. I would say most of our zoning would probably be agriculture. But I just wanna, do we need to include every zone, you know, every option that's out there, or no? Does anyone else have any questions about zoning?
I mean, I would like to put on there, would it be possible for us to require certain studies, such as road impact, environmental, strain on local resources, if it would be possible for us to make that a stipulation of bringing business here, which obviously wouldn't, you know, completely prevent it, but it would also at the same time completely slow down the process to withdrawal.
Well, we know what we're dealing with
Yeah.
for future
It would
industry
also
or
restrict
future, you know, commercial opportunities. Okay.
I think something ought to be mentioned here. Just remember, the county wants the money.
Right.
The county wants the money.
Well, that's why we are moving with swiftness.
And that's kind of an insurmountable thing to overcome in a way.
Well, the other piece to that, Aaron, is that the township wants to keep our money. And I
Well,
think
yeah, I'm
Terry
not-
said
I'm
last
not-
week that, you know, there could be annexing of our area
yeah,
that would
most
take away
definitely.
all of our benefits if this were to happen. So we, you know, while the county does need the money, we all need the money,
You know,
not
I-
just from this,
I
right?
don't think they need the
We
money. They just
still
want
need to, go ahead, Terry.
Listen, what they talked about last week on the spaghetti zoning, which is actually called string zoning, that is against the law in the state of Ohio now. If not 5% of the property is not touching the cities, they cannot annex it. It is
Good to
against the
know.
Well,
law.
that's great.
That
So they
is, Terry,
keep
that
on-
is a big benefit for us. I mean, specific
If
to
they can't
this
do it, yeah.
piece, but
And that is one of the questions that I did send to the attorney, I'm sending to her is that. So, that way she can answer for everybody, you know, too, but I really researched hard on it and it is against the law now. Because the city of Jackson's done it,
Hammertown.
Robin Hill, there's several, you know, Jisco, I mean, there's several different places the city's done this.
You
But it is no longer, it's not allowed now in the state of Ohio, so.
thanks for that clarification, Terry. But regardless, if this land deal falls through, we still have to have a plan, guys. They're not gonna leave, they're still gonna come, right? It's just another round.
Well,
We still have to have plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D.
Well, and with all this development that will hopefully be around us and not here, we don't know what other satellite industry might wanna come in, so.
I just heard today that they're building 350 apartments in Beaver.
I've seen quite a few built where the old elementary school was, what used to be.
These
Oh,
ones
they're
are going
already
on
up,
335.
Or on 335.
The one I heard about was by the Memorial Tower.
Well, yeah, I mean, all the construction from the gazillion mega gigawatt, I feel like I'm talking about flux capacitors up here, but the construction is gonna be on Portsmouth. I mean, they built, isn't Bristol Village was built for the A plant? I mean, that's the
All those
same
little
thing
houses
we're
were
seeing
built
now.
on the other side of Kroger's.
Okay. Oh, Hazel Heights was built, Jackson Heights was built for the A plant. I read an article like in Michael's on the wall the other day that was about that. Yeah, so, I mean, that makes sense. It's gonna be a huge boom.
Yeah, land's
With
gonna be-
ours.
I have a question.
Yes.
ADP is approaching people about a huge transmission line. Does zoning affect grant that because it is supposedly for the public good.
I will ask that, and we will let her answer. From what I've heard, utilities are excluded from any zoning. There are two projects though. So if there is no data center, there is, that all
Well,
may go away, may not.
I'm not so sure about that because I was told
They're
that it's
everywhere.
coming from Gavin to Pike. That's why they want it.
Hey, they're gonna actually, he's gonna have a meeting, I think, a public meeting for everybody, like, first week, I think, no, maybe second week of May. And they're gonna let out to everybody that they're gonna have a meeting with. They definitely say that it for sure is coming from Higher Creek and going to the A plant.
AEP told us ours, the ones that they're doing at ours is going to Columbus, and I was like, you're not running the right way.
They need it now.
I guess my question would be, Casey,
Yes.
if, AEP is telling us one thing, we have secrecy among another thing. If it comes out after one thing is done, that it is connected, what rights do we have as citizens because we've been lied to?
Well, the thing is, that one guy told us we have to write everything down, everything that is said is part of the contract.
I have a
Yes.
question about legal liabilities.
Okay.
If we were to get sued, if the township were to get sued, if we were to push back against the data centers, or if we were to affect like the sale of land or something, and somebody's upset about that, what would that look like? And I mean, that's kind of a long question, but, who's liable in that particular circumstances? Would the township insurance cover that? If we decide that we don't want to pursue it, can we just drop it and not pay any legal fees? I mean, that's my question as well.
Okay.
Because we could do something that's legally ambiguous, or maybe, a little aggressive, and potentially just drop out of the suit and say, okay, you're right. At least we tried, right?
Yes, I think those are great questions. That is called a takers lawsuit or a takers suit. I've been trying to educate myself on that. So I'm sure she will be big in helping us. From what I have found in other zoning plans from other townships that I've read, I actually have resources for like what Supreme Court case this was and that was. The responsibility of the zoning is to allow that they have economic value in their land. Doesn't have to be the highest economic value. We just have to ensure that they can gain economic value from their land.
Yeah. I'd say there's a very good argument to say that they would lose economic value of their land if this were to move in anyways, but
Right.
potentially.
Right.
We had a guy Saturday that commented, this really concerned me. He has a friend, he said, that was close to one of these, and because the land went so high that was sold, that upped your property
Tax.
tax
Yes.
incredibly.
Yeah, that's a real concern.
It's a real concern.
Well, yes, because my property tax is based off what the value of the homes are around me.
Right.
Or the value of the properties that have sold around me. So that
Yeah.
we would be paying a lot of property taxes for a residence that no one wants to buy next to this monstrosity. So we're
That might get
double dipped
abolished.
in the bad end of it there.
It sounds like that's a way to just feed the machine, in that the property really can't be worth that. No one wants to live by a data center. No one wants to have a house built by a data center.
Have
So,
you all seen the, video from the man in Michigan
yeah.
with the noise?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's very troubling.
So it almost sounds like it serves to make everyone.
Can you share that? I didn't see it.
Yes, I will, I can share. They have, like, they're sitting on his back porch, interviewing him, and it's just this, like, and and it's constant and it never stops, and they're like, we can't live here, we're gonna go, you know, we thought we found our forever home, but then we can't sell it, because who wants to live with us? It was interesting.
We have a friend near the Franklin Furnace one, and he said they're just building it and the noise is already unbearable. Just the heavy equipment that's doing the construction.
Oh, I don't even wanna think about
Did
that.
they actually break ground for that?
Yes, they have running around.
Will this lawyer be able to address the eminent domain uncertainty that we
With the
have?
utilities?
Yeah, so if the utility, if the transmission line is really for data centers and it doesn't really count for public good, I don't
Right.
think, can they really use, I mean, we keep on hearing all this different input, but I don't think we really know this.
I did have a county commissioner tell me that a data center would never be able to have eminent domain. However, utilities are a different situation. Now, to a private project like the data center, the county commissioner told me that they would make them go every which way around, because there's always a way around. But if it ever went to public use, they don't have much pull, you know, it could be in that with the utilities. So yes, I have the eminent domain issue for the data center and for utilities feeding it.
I have another request.
Yes,
The remediation after it becomes obsolete.
thank you, perfect.
Because it will.
So what about, like, I feel like remediation, maybe we ask, like, you know, we face remediation if it comes. If we keep it to zoning, do we want, is that something we want if places are abandoned? Or do we just want her to deal with
I
that?
just wanna
one
know
as
if
a
that's
data
something that we
center?
can just work with them, if they come.
Okay, perfect.
And make them promise that they will clean up after themselves. If it's anything like the one in Columbus, I don't know if you guys have seen it, it's monolithic, it's huge. It's not a little thing, takes up acres.
Okay, the proposed solar project that didn't go through in the last few years, they agreed to put money in escrow to remediate it when its life was over. I think that's the commissioner's stipulation. Can't 100% speak to whether it was or not, but I believe it was.
Okay.
Casey,
Yes.
from a legal perspective,
Yes.
especially because so many people within our room right now, I mean, are literally next door neighbors to the proposed site if the land deals go through. What rights do we have as private citizens as neighboring this facility, whatever it may be? You know, as a before, during, and after, meaning our utility usage, our water, you know, any water issues or anything. Would a lawyer suggest to us that we get our water tested, get our wells tested? Like, what's the depth of our wells before all of this happens? And then 6 months into, if this were to go through, we notice our utility bills have gone up 35%. Our water pressure has gone down and now it's stinky, it's smelly, it's this, it's that. We've retested it. We now see that there's, I don't know, metals in there or whatever. What, you know, as a legal entity, can they advise us on anything action that we should be taking now as private citizens that will set us up, not legally set us up, but at least we have something to stand on
Right.
if there is an impact.
We have a standard.
Well,
Correct.
definitely it's prudent. It's definitely prudent to the matter.
Terry, What questions do you have? Maybe here, yours will spark ours.
Whatever it might be, might look
I
like.
actually don't have it with me, but I've actually already sent them to Judy a bunch.
And are yours focusing on like liability?
A little bit, but
Okay.
more on the other side of zoning and as the moratorium you talked about.
Uh-huh.
Some kind of questions with it. But there's also, gosh, I'm just trying to think in my mind. I wrote them all out.
I mean, can we just flat out ask her, are we early enough to stop this thing?
Yeah, I think that's what we need.
I think that's what I wanna know.
How do we legally stop this thing?
What do we need to do?
You know, so that brings up, what's a vested interest? You know, does the letter of intent equal a vested interest that we can't?
I did ask that question in mine.
Okay,
Yeah, so
does she have a copy of the LOI?
she will have it, mine.
Okay.
You're supposed to send it to her, so.
Okay,
What does that mean? I don't know.
letter of intent.
Right, what are you talking about?
So the letter of intent is something that the realtor that met with some of the landowners presented to the folks that they wanted to buy from. That is, it's not a purchase contract or agreement, but it's saying for X amount of time, you can't do anything with your land while we figure out if we're gonna go ahead and buy it. And they get, I think it's like $15,000 or some cut to say, here's some money, we're gonna hold it. So, similar, I don't know the details of the solar lease, but the solar lease kind of operated in the same way, like we have so much time to decide if we're gonna move forward on the deal. So, we're in this kind of binding situation.
Tracy, I would think that would be considered like a contract sale. So, as far as if they did that, because now they have to sell. So I think that part would be, which we are asking that, so we know for sure. But I would think that it would be.
It does provide some interest, but I read the statute, and to qualify, it has to have a closing date, the purchase price, your financial institution. I mean, it's gotta be like, you're booked to go sign this deal. And I don't think that LOI meets those criteria.
But we're going to.
But that is on the agenda, this is why we're doing
This
this.
is why, yeah.
So,
Casey.
yes,
10 minutes.
thank you. So,
9.5.
it's already been submitted to Judy, but we know that we're gonna ask about what we just said.
Is it really, is it a contract, the LOI?
Yes, thank you. So once we know, we're clear with, nobody has given them enough interest to stop us, which I think is what we wanna know.
I want to know if we can sue the Jackson County Economic Development Partnership.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, are they legally able to have a non-disclosure agreement, even though they receive government funding? And that also would apply to the county commissioners and city of Jackson, because we're completely unaware of their involvement.
So we know elected officials are not allowed to sign NDAs, elected. That's why, in my guess, there's even an economic development partnership, because that is a liaison between all the people that can't sign NDAs, partnering with people that can sign NDAs. And then they have
It's a
executive
loophole.
sessions
It's a
and
loophole.
talk behind backs, and I'm learning so much in this process. We do know that we have the opportunity to vote any elected official out. So,
But nobody in that group's elected, right?
The commissioners are.
Well, yeah, but
no,
the economic
the
development.
economic development, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're a private organization,
But they report into the county commissioners for very specific tasks, so,
They're appointed,
right.
Okay,
because I was on that board when it first started.
okay, so they're appointed by elected people. So they're,
Well, different, at least it used to be different organizations would have a representative. For instance,
board, right?
I represented Extension. I was on it early when they first started it New Year's.
And I believe Mr. Wallace is still.
Yep. Marty.
Marty
Marty.
is the extension fellow now.
Yeah.
And that's where we get the connection with Mr. Howler being there as the county commissioner's representative on board, so there we just connected those dots. Awesome, so we've got some good things. What else would we be worried about? If you were not, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, I can't remember, I think it was the last week, they had mentioned, they had reached out to Jackson County Water and the sewer company about running those lines. And it was stated that the data center was going to actually install the water lines and then turn those water lines over to the county. Now, if they do that, if they're privately owned, my understanding is they cannot force the township to connect to them. But if they convert them over and hand them over to Jackson County afterwards, now they're government. And I'm afraid that Jackson County could make everybody attached to the sewer lines.
Right.
So that might be something that you wanna ask her as well.
No, sewer lines would be totally just for the city of Jackson, period, and they would be responsible for the ones all the way to the city. I worked for the city 15 years in water, sewer, and distribution, and treating.
Okay.
And I can tell you that they will never, the city would never take them lines all the way out here and be responsible for them. Now, I can tell you this, if they dump into Jackson, I'm gonna tell you where they'll go.
Wait a minute, I wanna ask, is it they'll never do it?
The city.
Or they'll never do it unless they get a buttload of money that you've never thought
City's
about?
still not gonna do it because of the responsibility through the EPA. Okay, so that would reflect to their license. Okay, so they have to worry about treating what's beyond their system. So that system to there, like I said, they would dump at the Holy Trinity Hospital is where they'll go in at. There's a huge monitoring system that's actually there. And that's where it would have to go to. So if it comes from out here, it have to probably go straight up the highway, 139, probably cut across and go to the hospital. So, but I can tell you guys that they personally would own that line. This data center. Yes, they would own it, not the city. The city would just dump into the city. The city would not be responsible for that line. No way, shape, or form.
Liability.
No,
Like
they
that, if there was a leak or anything else, the liability with the EPA would be.
Because they'll have to have their own treatment out here. They'll have to treat it here. But when it goes to Jackson, if they have a leak and it kills all the animals or fish or it's toxic or something, that's going to come back on them. Okay. But when it gets to the city of Jackson, then it's their responsibility. And then now they actually put it out in the streams and things. They're not allowing the data centers to put it in the streams and things. What we have to worry about is if the city does not approve it, if it goes in, because then they're going to have settlement problems, and they're man-made, and they're going to tear it up. They're going to have issues, a lot of problems, and then we're going to have contamination problems. So I can say this: if it's going to go in, I hope that the city does do the city or the sewer. I really truthfully hope it is.
Yeah, I do know that the one down in, I said it's put in the water, it's putting water directly in from the river and putting that water right back out into the river.
Now, I do know they have little different things down on the river, so I would still think that the EPA would have to be going and testing what's going back to that
The
river.
EPA is just greenlighting a lot of this stuff,
Yeah.
not any long-term
They
studies.
really-
The Corps of Engineers is a
Yeah, they
different
are.
story. Corps of Engineers is a different
Big
story
business.
versus EPA. And any navigable waters is under the Corps of Engineers.
Is it just the dams?
Do what?
The Corps of Engineers, don't they only take care of the dams?
No, they take care of any navigable waters. You go to the Muskegon River or anything else.
Well,
that's
because
considered navigable. They are over the dams, but they are also,
but I see the reports from the Ohio EPA that tells me how polluted the water are.
yeah, they tell you how polluted the water are.
So,
But if it's a navigable water, it is under the jurisdiction of the Corps of Engineers.
but they're not the ones that are doing the water quality samples, are they?
No, they don't do water quality.
That's still the EPA.
EPA does that, but the Corps of Engineers will determine what can be put into their water.
So what about if it dumps into a smaller river that's not navigable, that ends up in the Ohio River anyway?
Like the little Scioto River.
Yeah, like the
The
little
Little
side,
Scioto River is a good example.
or any of the creeks that all end up in the Ohio River eventually anyway.
Everything does, yes it does.
And EPA has
But,
a lot of requirements.
The rules for taking out of the Ohio River and putting back in are different than they are for like Raccoon Creek or any of these creeks around here, little side of it.
If your position was against zoning, what questions would you ask this attorney?
If we implement any kind of light or sound stipulations, will that affect people who hunt or have private property? Or shoot in the free time?
Or put off fireworks.
That too?
And there's a lot of that out where I am on these.
Control those kids everywhere.
I would wanna know whether the township can require them for monthly monitoring.
Require what, I'm sorry?
Require the company in question for monthly monitoring.
Environmental.
Yeah, environmental.
All right,
My other question, I guess, would be if I were a proponent, would any of these restrictions that we've talked about at all have any influence on farmers? And allowing them to use their land for livestock, use it for farming purposes, or even Wiseman Brothers in the case of them being a fabrication joint?
Well, they're
growth.
they're already there, that's kind of a new point.
Businesses, it's already here.
That too.
Yeah, that's kind of a new point, Grant, because they're already here and they've got the grandfather rights.
They can be grandfathered, I just wonder like if they wanted to double in size, you know?
right,
Right.
right.
You know what?
Well, that's where your variance would come in, right?
Variances and your ordinances.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, we will ask this, absolutely, because I wanna hear it straight from someone that knows. I do believe grandfathered properties have the right to expand, but let's find out for sure.
What if somebody wants to put a gas station in along the 32?
So so that depends if 32, along 32 is, if it's a district that it has commercial, it would make sense to me that it would have a mixed use for potential development. I assume that the development would be close to the highway. Let's say it's just agriculture though, the gas station comes to a township meeting and says, I'm interested in putting a gas station, could I get a variance? And then that process starts. Let's say it's mixed use, so let's say it's, zoned for commercial and agriculture. That would be, I would assume that would follow commercial, there's parameters that you have to meet, but I would assume that would be a commercial business and that would fall. Yeah, so if we, good point, Teresa, if we would zone something in an area and someone wants to come in and say, hey, I have this business opportunity I want to put here, we can allow variances, we can change our districts, we can adjust. It's a fluid thing, it's not set it and forget it.
Can we allow one for Waffle House?
For Waffle House. I just introduced my son to Waffle House and now he's an addict. Yes, sir.
I just say one last question that we can maybe propose, is that if we want to get rid of the zoning, or if we want to change it, how easy or how difficult would that be to do? I think people are really concerned about that, and if we do have the
Right.
power to quickly get rid of it, if it
Right.
becomes a problem, then that's something we need to know.
And also to that point, is there a way, I keep hearing that these places come in and want to make places rezone.
Yes,
How do we write it in the zoning? How do we make that not be so
They can-
that they can't?
Anybody can apply for a
Yes.
property to be rezoned,
Right.
but it's just a property. Or at least that's the way it works in the city of Jackson.
So I have read about some of these where they're in the same situation where they already have zoning. Let's say it's agriculture, because in this case, it would obviously be agriculture. And they come in and they request a variance to to put a data center there. So zoning was very different based on what that township's goals are. And you have what is called a comprehensive statement that lays out what the township has envisioned for their long-term goals. So if they were denied the variance and the company took it to court, the company would have to show that it was like an egregious, it didn't like, it went against the comprehensive plan. From what I'm reading, my light reading lately has been the Delaware Township zoning plan, and it has been very insightful. But it does say that, in here it is cited things that says, well, because their comprehensive plan was written, this went against how they wanted their area developed. Some have lost, as far as like the variance pieces, and it's because, to Terry's point of bringing this attorney in, it's because their zoning wasn't written correctly, and they're trying to now fight something off they're not set up for, which is what we're doing. But luckily, I'm hoping we'll find out tomorrow.
What are the missing
that the time is on our side, and we're not behind the wall. So, the people will have to variance, people might get denied, and I'm not just talking about the data center. If something doesn't jive with what our long-term goals are that we set up, we may have to have an uncomfortable conversation, we may have to defend our position. But, like I said last week,
So we keep the meeting.
the trustees are, bonded, sure, we have
Grace,
people back
she stays
up,
a little longer.
that is,
So,
protects us.
questions is the only question.
So,
Casey, before you move on, Aaron just brought up a really, really good point. So tomorrow when we're back here at this meeting, we can't ask any other questions, right? That's why we need to submit the questions to
Right.
Judy now, or to your trustee or whoever, so we can get them submitted to the lawyer. We only have this lawyer for 1 hour. So we want to make our time very, very valuable for her. And that's why we want to pre-submit the questions, because what I don't want, Chip, I don't want you to ask a question and then I just turn around and ask the exact same question and get the exact same answer. We have to be very productive with our time with this individual.
Exactly.
So, Casey, thank you for intaking these questions. We'll get them submitted, but guys, we will not have an open forum with this lawyer tomorrow, okay?
And the biggest thing too is, I just want to make sure that we think about our rules of engagement, because there's gonna be some answers she has that we're not gonna like. And the worst part is, it's gonna spark more, another question, if she answers something in a way that, because I've already thought about that, I thought, man, if she answers something that's halfway what I thought, but it was another direction, I know I'm gonna have another question. So,
yeah, I think if you have a follow-up question, you jot it down.
yeah, write it down, because I'll get it to her.
And either at the end, if there's time, we can take some, it's not my meeting, but please allow me to make a suggestion. She can answer our questions. I would not let necessarily public comment on those or react to those.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I was thinking too. That's
you're
what I'm trying to say.
We
here
can-
to
we
listen
don't have
to the
time for that.
answers to
Right.
the questions we've submitted. Swallow your heartburn if you don't like the answer. This is real life. And if you have a follow-up question afterwards that we don't get to, she's still helping us.
Right.
We just only have so much time here, so we can ask, because you have a link with her, I'm sure you will say, hey, here's some follow-up concerns before we move forward. That seems reasonable.
And we may be able to do that with her with the email or something.
Right,
Yeah, that's what
right.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I can have her directly email it back, the answers, and give you guys the emails, so you guys can see exactly what she said.
Yeah, this is not a debate. This is an attorney coming in and giving us information, and we're going to politely say thank you very much for that, and we will follow up with other questions.
Right. And Terry, I think we can manage expectations before we get started with our rules of engagement, because ultimately, guys, we are dealing with a lawyer here we can be emotional, but she's gonna be transparent with us, right? And we may get answers that we don't like, but we are adults, we all put our pants on the same way sometimes. So,
Well, the situation is what it is.
It is
whether
what it
we're
is,
crying
right.
about it Or whether we're okay with it, the rules are set, we gotta follow the law. I'm hoping we get great news, I'll be the first one to shed many tears if we don't, but I'll get up tomorrow and go to work just the same. So, I'm gonna type these up. If you guys think of anything at home in your discussions, like, oh, we didn't think about that then, shoot me a text, send it on Facebook, give us a phone call. Phone calls do still happen, I think. So just get a hold of us somehow and we will work it in. I'm gonna type these up tonight and probably submit them in the morning so that any afterthoughts that you guys have, you can shoot them out or,
Does everybody have your phone number?
I know probably not.
But we can still submit them straight to Judy still,
We
right?
can submit them straight to Judy, or I'll give you my
what
phone
time
number.
does she not
I don't
want
care.
anymore?
You have.
She usually said, if you send it to her tomorrow, like I know in the morning, she said she's gonna send more questions to her in the morning.
Well, I'm gonna do a live on my Facebook later on this evening, once I get home, just imploring people to continue to send Judy questions so we can continue to streamline the information that we're seeking from the lawyer. So to help, number one, bring more emphasis on this building tomorrow, get the people in here that we need to get into, but we wanna get, because what a great meeting of the minds tonight. What great questions that you guys have brought up for Casey.
Yeah.
There are more great minds out there that we may not have thought of, that we wanna just try to generate some more
Will the press
activity.
be here tomorrow?
Yes, we have.
Do we want them to be here and
What is it?
publicly make the questions available and the answers? Which could be published in the paper.
Mom, it's a trustee meeting. It's an open meeting.
Okay. I just want
We'll
to.
report it.
And I'm sorry, but he and Jeremiah and the entire team have been fantastic to follow our journey.
I'm not putting
We
them
are
down.
not
Here-
going to
here's
stop
one
that.
thing, Here's one thing, if your mind is like, oh, it's in writing and these are our answers, you ask 3 different lawyers the same question, you're gonna get 3 absolutely different answers. They're paid to do that, and we're not gonna get an absolute out of her tomorrow. We're not gonna get an absolute yes, you're free to go, or an absolute no, shut it down, because then we don't need her anymore. So,
I kinda agree with you, Teresa. I think that we need to take all the questions that was asked and all the answers. If we video and have all the answers, we can literally write them down and we would have them to go back to in these meetings. If somebody asks that question and we don't remember, this is what the attorney we hired said. So I think she's right. I think if we have this all written out, one of us can even do it. Sit down and watch the video, write the answers out from the question that was asked. That I think it's a good idea. I think it's gonna be just like, using a dictionary. At least you're gonna have the answers already, you're having there. You're not gonna have somebody say, no, I think I remember what this was. I think this is the situation. I think she's right. I think we can go back and look and say, here's what she said. So,
yeah,
So,
if we don't like it, we can just ask another lawyer.
I have one more question. Did I
Yes, ma'am.
read this, or is there something about brown bags around here?
yes, it is
Brown
a
bats?
highly endangered species. We have brown bats immediately in this area. We actually have 4 other endangered species in our area, but the brown bat is actually the number 1 because of its pollination, its reproduction, things like that. So when you see like big construction and things like that, they're going to have to avoid their migration times, their reproductive times, all of those things. So I think that was brought up with AEP.
Until something comes out that we don't care about the brown bat.
Right.
We just try to kill off a species so we could drill a whale or something. Was there a whale we tried to kill? I said we, like I made decisions.
I wanna say
Yes,
something
please.
as well. I've heard things about trees that you could plant that have very fast growing roots. So I think if we get to a point where we know that this is going to happen, which obviously we're not at that point now, we can think of environmental ways to make it very, very difficult for them to actually physically build it.
Sprinkle, here.
It's called the Empress tree.
Oh, lovely. the resolution to be passed at the 20th meeting.
Tonight's a fourth of
Don't know what that entails, so that don't know what a resolution to form a zoning committee has to consist of, that might be a lawyer question. But I'm sure we can get it whipped up in 5 days, right? So, that being the case, if,
I think honestly, we just have to agree with the township trustees and we can make it. And there's a lot more process afterwards, but as far as that part, it'd be no different than any other.
do you want interested people, to be members of the zoning committee to let you know, or? you
Yes,
just wanna
let's see
make
after
that
tomorrow night's meeting, I definitely would like to know who would like to be involved and another thing too, is the kids, if we don't know you, like if we don't know them maybe personally, it'd be nice to have their education on there, what their job is.
A resume.
Yeah, 'cause sometimes I get more resume, I'm not saying I have to apply for a job, but I'm just saying, just somewhat, so we know that we're not putting somebody on there that was homeschooled and never had a job.
I don't think that's unreasonable, I think